It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. You are tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Tuesday morning right here on S3. Now, quite a big story. The gas explosion in Johannesburg's Bree Street last week was a real scare, particularly for the over 40 people that was injured. Now, the dots are still being connected as to what exactly led to the gas explosion. And this morning, we are connecting with toxicologist Dr. Gerhard Verdoorn from Johannesburg to talk to us about his thoughts and analysis of the situation. Dr. Gerhard, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's wonderful to have you.
Good morning, thank you.
I got to start at the beginning, just to bring people in the loop maybe. There's so many stories out there, so many different news headlines. Do we have a clearer indication as to what exactly happened and what caused this particular explosion?
Well, the information coming from the Joburg authorities, in other words, the metro, seems as if there was an old gas pipe that was virtually unknown because it's been around for many years. And that was linked to the gas plant in Auckland Park, very close to University of Joburg. And unnoticedly, it filled up with methane gas, which is the natural gas that was supplied for years to citizens in Joburg. And it started leaking out of the pipe in a small leak. And you must understand that it was underground, so nobody would have smelled that. And what happens with a gas like that, it reaches a critical mixture with oxygen that's available in the air, and you don't even need a spark to ignite that particular gas, because methane gas auto-ignites on its own when it reaches that critical mass with oxygen. And that is what we believe happened, because the gas line, which is currently being used by the metro, and also the gas line which is used by Sasol, seem to be totally intact. So it wasn't a case of those gas lines being the origin. It seemed to have been the old, call it forgotten gas line that caused this massive leak and then the explosion.
Yeah. And it was an incredibly big explosion. We saw the videos, we saw the damage that was done. It happened deep underground, and I also read that it lifted somewhat 170,000 tons of material. Now, in terms of mopping operations and repairs, what are some of the challenges now faced? Because this, I can imagine, is a huge repair job.
Well, the first thing is to safeguard the area. So that gas pipe needs to be closed down. They need to find the origin of where the gas comes into the pipe. And once they can close the origin down, then the gas pipe becomes immaterial. Obviously, the gas pipe would have to be removed during the mop-up operation. But I have all the sympathy for the metro and the state authorities that have to do the clean-up operation, because that requires now a massive engineering exercise by the metro people to lift up all the rubble, and hopefully they will understand that within South Africa, our waste management framework, many of those components or materials would have to be reworked into reconstructing the road and the buildings and the pavings and the conduits where all the pipes and electrical conduits run. But that is going to cost literally millions and millions of rands, because just the removal and the cleanup operation is literally a couple of hundreds of million rand, I would imagine, and then to reconstruct all the conduits to make sure all the pipes are safe, electricity is safe, that people have water restored to the areas with new water pipes, and then making sure that you put proper inspection sites into, or inspection manuals into the area where you can go and inspect them properly and make sure that all the gas pipes have proper release vent. So any gas pipe should always have a release vent in case of an over pressure. They can release a bit of the pressure, that you don't end up with a catastrophic disaster like we saw recently. And just to come back to your early statement, I do not believe it was a massive explosion, because the natural gas doesn't give that much of an energy. If that was propane gas, which is the new gas we use in the LPG gas bottles, that would have been an absolute fatal disaster. It would have been much worse than this. So I think there was quite a bit of gas, but not enough to cause an absolute catastrophic explosion. The thing we saw on the TV wasn't, to me, really catastrophic, but it was still significant.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to come back to just a thing that you said. You mentioned that it was a very old gas line as well. Could this explosion also have been caused by potential earthquakes that we saw over the past while, shaking the ground, making potentially the pipes maybe unstable and damaging it in any way?
Well, there's been many events, or many sort of seismic events in Johannesburg, and you must remember with the last couple of years, I remember at least four or five small seismic events. And obviously seismic events have an impact on infrastructure, not only buildings on top of the ground, but also the underground, the conduits, the pipes, electrical conduits, water supply, stuff like this. And with an old pipe like that, that is probably in the region of 60 to 80 years old, even older, that pipe was slightly compromised, and with a proper level earthquake of even a magnitude of 2.5 on the Richter scale, it might have compromised the pipe to the point where a small crack developed, and that small crack was enough. Remember, because the gas is very volatile and it's under pressure, and that gas would have pushed out through the small crack. So seismic events, human activity, the movement of cars over the road, all those little tremors, all those things add up to the situation where the old pipe might have been compromised and then developed a crack to release the gas.
Yeah. Now, looking at the infrastructure down below, and of course we do not want to see something like this happen again. Is there any way to safeguard us going forward with regards to looking after our pipes? Is there any way that we can see, or are there any telltale signs that we can detect something like this before it even happens?
It comes back to one thing which I think our new South Africa has forgotten about, and that is maintenance. It's like buying yourself a brand new car, doesn't matter which brand, you don't maintain the car, it is going to fall apart. Now, we have a problem, I think, with all our state departments, that most state departments don't do maintenance. And maintenance is something which keeps a lot of people in jobs. It builds up skills of people, but we don't do it. So if you build new infrastructure, which I believe they will do now with that area of Johannesburg that was decimated by the explosion, they need to do proper maintenance, and that's why we have manholes. You see manholes all over the place. People go down there, they check the conduits, they check the pipe, they check the water. It doesn't happen very often, and that is the first barrier against any catastrophic disaster like we saw recently. But if it's properly planned with proper engineers, of which we have enough in the country, properly constructed with the right constructors, and we do maintenance, then we should not have any disaster like that anywhere in the country, anywhere in the future.
Fantastic. Dr. Verdoorn, thank you very much for your insights this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
There we go.
Bye.
Dr. Gerhard Verdoorn, the toxicologist on the Bree Street explosion that took place recently in Johannesburg. There we have it. Many sources, of course, being deployed to get Bree Street safe again, and with the residents and city dwellers assured that power and water will be restored this week.